Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and it's Friday. And with me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome all listeners to Friday, where who's ready for some weekend fun? Because Friday has arrived and it's time to party.
Let's go. Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for that.
Voyse lost in introspection.
I was like, what else do I need to? These stories are amazing. Friday.
Well, why don't we get right into the stories while I enjoy my morning cup of brew. What did you make for me this morning?
Well, this morning I made for you what I call my spicy meatball tea. It's got a little bit of cinnamon, some rooibos, ginger root, and clove.
Okay, that is spicy.
It's a spicy meatball tea.
That's like a 2 out of 5.
You know that hot ball?
Yeah.
When you put it in your mouth, but it doesn't get hot, but it's like you can taste that cinnamoniness.
I hate hot balls. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hot balls are gross.
Where were you raised?
The South.
It's hot down there. You should know that it's delicious. Well, for any listeners wanting to follow along in today's stories, all story links are in the description below. For our first story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend, 25, my dinner after I had already bought her dinner? My girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 29 male, live in New York City, and there's a popular app where you buy leftover restaurant food. Restaurants advertise surprise bags as a reduced price in order to reduce food waste. The customer doesn't know what they're getting until they pick the food up, but the cost is at least 3 times lower than the normal menu price. Example, if an entree is usually $24, the restaurant is allowed to charge $8 at most for it. These are hit or miss. Sometimes you get exactly what you want at a greatly reduced price, but sometimes you get something that you otherwise wouldn't have picked from the menu. I ordered a surprise bag from a barbecue place that I was picking up on the way home yesterday. I texted my girlfriend asking if she wanted one, but she said no, she wasn't in the mood for barbecue. However, there was an Indian restaurant right next door that also had surprise bags available on the app, so she ordered one of them. The barbecue was $12 and the Indian food was $10. When I get home, I unpack the meals to see what we got. I was psyched about my bag. Since I paid $12, I knew the value had to be at least $36. But honestly, the platter looked a lot more expensive. This was a hit. Keep in mind that we live in the West Village, which is the most expensive neighborhood in the most expensive city in the US. So $36 for one meal is pretty typical. There were burnt ends, ribs, pulled pork, baked beans, potato salad, bread, onions, and pickles. You hungry, Timstradamus?
Yeah, that sounds good.
My girlfriend, however, was less lucky. Her surprise bag only had 6 different types of soup, half of them being variations of cauliflower soup. She was disappointed, to say the least. She asked if we should share my barbecue, and I said no, I'm hungry. I offered to buy you some already, and you said no, so I'm going to devour it. She got mad and called me an a-hole. I told her if she didn't want soup, she should have ordered something specifically instead of using the surprise bag app. I then told her to just order something off a food delivery app. She said she didn't want to spend the money. Another bit of context is I make a lot more money than her and pay all of our rent. I know she's running a bit of a lean financial picture right now. I then tell her that if she doesn't want to pay for delivery, I'll walk to the bodega on our street and can buy her something there. Another bit of context is that we live on the 4th floor walk up with no elevator, and she broke her leg in a car accident a month ago. So it can be tough for her to get around. She says she, the grill, is probably off there, and all she wants is a hot meal. I tell her she has soup. Anyway, she thinks I'm the a-hole, but in my defense, 1, I offered to buy her barbecue to begin with, which she declined. 2, she picked out her own food, and I grabbed it for her on my way home. 3, When she wasn't satisfied, I suggested two solutions, either ordering something from an app or going to a bodega. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole?
Okay, so we'll start with this. How old are they?
She's 25, he's 29.
Okay. Sounds like he is a lot more financially well off than she is right now. He says it. She's running a little lean. That's very cool, by the way. I've never heard of a mystery grab bag type situation.
I'd be so worried I'd get something I wouldn't like, but
but
be
that's
down to
the risk you
grab
run.
it. Like, yeah, I'd be down to get something like shared after I get something small myself, just in case.
But that's very interesting. And he understands the game. He lucked out tonight. Right? Sounds like he got a really good mystery grab bag. Unfortunately, his girlfriend did not. My question would be kind of the way his is. If you wanted something specifically, why would you order a grab bag mystery box?
I think it was more along the premise of you weren't expecting a bunch of soup.
And I can get that, but you also know by doing that, you run the risk of getting things you don't want. I mean, that there's the base understanding of that is, I know that as an adult, I'm going to get something that either could be really good, could be meh, or could be something I hate. So going into that, having that understanding is very important.
But if he says that she's running lean and this was just a cheap way.
Sure.
Because the thing is, the guarantee wouldn't have been if she got the barbecue, she would have gotten exactly what he did.
And I can understand that. And I guess I can only look at this the way I feel you and I would handle it. Let's say we're in this situation.
All right.
Your boy gets an amazing...
No. Your
girl... am I going to get this?
Your girl gets an amazing...
So
I get the burnt ends.
Your girl gets the amazing burnt ends and awesome barbecue platter.
You can get a bunch of soups.
And then I open mine up and I get a bunch of soups. I feel like you and I... And maybe I'm only speaking for me, so you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm ready.
You and I would have no problems sharing that and tasting each other's stuff, because that's not how we do things, especially with like meals. I've learned this throughout my lifetime with Voyse. When we get things, it's to share. And it's not like, I understand the whole thing, like I get my thing, you get your thing.
But there are those instances
and every relationship has their functions. But I've learned that even if, because I'm one of those people, when I get stuck in my ways about like something I really like from a place, I will definitely go out of my way not to order anything else because I come here for this.
He doesn't try anything new at all.
But I've gotten better about it. And the reason why I have is because even if it's not that good, it's not the end of the world. And we end up sharing, or Voyse will have some of my stuff, and it's allowed me to get past my mental block of, look, I know I really like this. So why would I waste
in every restaurant?
Why would I waste my money on something that I may not find good? It would not bother me. Let's say I had the barbecue. That would be my understanding as your partner, that if yours doesn't work out, that we're going to share whichever one does. Like, but I can understand they're dating. I don't know how long they've been dating for. And I always have to say this when we talk about couples. Their relationship is not our relationship. So I have to understand that. Sometimes that can be hard to glue myself away from it, because I look at this and go, why was it that big a deal that you guys just shared it? There'll be other mystery bags in the future. I don't get that. But I can also understand from people's point of view, like, hey, look, you get several chances to get something you actually wanted from someplace. That was his plate of food that he bought. That's not yours. I got to say that for me, I believe that I think they're both a little bit the a-hole. I think he's the a-hole for not sharing, because it's just food at the end of the day. I understand that it's you lucked out, but I don't mind sharing. And especially if my partner got kind of lost the gamble that night, obviously I don't have a problem with sharing my food.
Your girl rolled snake eyes tonight.
Yeah, I could definitely see where you tease me. But at the end of the day, I feel like you would share too. Like,
of course.
That's just not how we function. And yeah, I think they're both the a-hole. Him for not just wanting to share it, and her for, I guess, understanding the game she was in. You didn't luck out tonight. If he didn't really want to share it, then you could have just made other plans to get the food you wanted. And yes, I understand that she's running lean.
Well, let's just go ahead and get right into this. So the moderators put down that the poster is the a-hole.
Okay.
And let me just say the consensus was somewhat split on this. I would say it's closer to along everyone's sex here. Some were saying that he's the a-hole because he could just share. It doesn't hurt to just share. It's kind of something that you do as a couple. The other half said that he's not the a-hole because he's not beholden to
And
her
I can
gamble.
understand that. And that's why I said if he said no, he didn't want to share it, it should have been up to her to go find something else to have.
So another sort of perspective from the comments was that his girlfriend is the a-hole because she's acting a little selfishly. She lost out on the grab bag. He tries to go down to provide other alternatives and she shoots it down. And there doesn't seem to be anything that seems to work.
There's no compromise she's taking.
Correct. Now, the other side says, look, if she didn't have a broken leg, I think you'd have a better argument to stand on. But you know that it's hard for her to get around and she wants a nice hot meal. Anybody would be bummed out to have just soups for their meals, even if it's 6 different types of cauliflower soup.
Yeah, that's gross.
And that comes from a lot of commenters that say that they love soup, but this would suck.
She definitely lost on that grab bag.
Now, it seemed to go back and forth with all of it. If anything, it really is, as you said, everyone sort of sucks here. This was just a really bad situation that, yes, could he have shared? Sure. Should she not have taken the gamble? Sure. There's really no win here.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear other people's relationships through this. It does have you pause. I'm like, I like Voyse the way she is.
Thank you. I also have come from thinking when it comes to food that it truly does taste better when you share it with someone.
This is a belief Voyse actually has, and she's said it throughout our entire relationship. And I think it's worn on me so as the years have gone by.
To me, food almost loses its flavor when you're not enjoying it with someone else, especially someone that you love. It's one of the reasons why when I'm excited and I try something new that I think tastes good, or I try something that I think you might like, Timstradamus, I want to share a bite with you.
Sure, you've opened my palate wildly.
Better than just a burger all the time.
I still love burgers, though.
You can still, I love burgers too, but not all the time.
All the time, baby.
Ugh. So let's go on to our next story and see what's happening with this thirst trap.
Uh-oh.
Am I the a-hole for buying out her sister's account to delete thirst traps?
Mamma mia.
I adore my girlfriend. I really do. I'm lucky because she doesn't have any social media because it isn't a good idea with what she wants to do in the future. But I found out she posted thirst traps on her sister's account and that those posts went mega viral. I said before I wouldn't feel comfortable with her posting showy pictures online, but she said she'd do whatever she wants. It would turn into a little argument. I went to confront her about it. The comments were ultra sexual, which made me really uncomfortable. The account took off. The thirst traps got like millions of views. Her response: I don't want to talk about it. You're insecure. If you have a problem with it, break up with me. If you're not going to break up with me, leave me alone. You're annoying me right now. Yup. Basically that. She can be a drama queen. I have no interest in breaking up with her. I'm possessive because I don't want anyone else looking at what's mine because I love her so much. I couldn't feel this way about anyone. Why would I break up with her so she could get with other men? That is the last thing I'm ever going to want. She forgives me for my faults, being a bit possessive, so I forgive her for her independent streak and breaking rules. No way would I ever break up with her, and she knows this. But I also don't want those videos online. I went to her sister and asked to buy the account from her for $1,000. She didn't believe me, so I straight up went over there with the money. She was gonna cry when I deleted the account. She said there were a lot of videos she liked. One where she was dancing with my girlfriend in the snow. I told her the TikTok account needs to go. There were too many people there thirsting after my girlfriend. She started arguing with me and saying the videos weren't a big deal, but I said we had a deal and deleted it. Now she's upset with me. I thought offering her money would be the best way to get rid of the account. I can't believe she's upset. She straight up told me she hopes my girlfriend breaks up with me. Am I the a-hole?
This is a specimen bow. Okay. There's a lot to unpack in this toxic tale. How old is OP? They sound young.
Doesn't say.
Okay. So you definitely are insecure by a lot.
Yeah, just a little. Insecure and calling it possessive.
That possessive thing is not great. That's going to lead down a lot of dark paths. you definitely need to go see someone about that. And you sound very proud of it. Now, you can have the relationships you want, because there are people that function and love that type of thing within their relationships.
Oh, yes. More power to them as long as both sides are accepting of it.
There has to be an agreement going into those relationships that those are the parameters that it functions within.
There's also a difference between someone who's possessive and someone who is smothering and obsessive.
And that's where I think ROP is at. To the point where he had them delete memories. Not just thirst traps. That's a problem. But let's get back to the beginning of the tale, because it's important. I want to ask, I think he alludes to it, but I don't know if it's the way I heard it. Did he let her know at the beginning that this is who he is?
I don't know. He doesn't actually put a background into their relationship, but...
See, I thought he alluded to something like, I told her that this is not something I find okay in a relationship. Maybe I misheard it.
No, what he said was, I said before I wouldn't feel comfortable with her posting showy pictures online. Her response was, she'd do whatever she wants.
Okay, so that's where it should have met the head, and that's when they should have had their either I'm in or out moment. That's how I see that.
Correct.
Because if you weren't okay with that, that was an expectation you should have put your foot down and went, look, I actually cannot deal with that in relationships. And if that's something you want to do, then we need to split our ways. Your girlfriend told you, you don't control her. Those are the expectations that got laid down in your relationship, it sounds, early on. You are not willing to hear that because you're still trying to change her, to the point that you bought an account, paid her sister $1,000, and then you deleted all of it. The memories, she said that there was a dancing thing of her and her sister. You don't get those back. Once it's deleted unless they backed it up. But it sounds like the sister never did those things.
So knowing me when it comes to TikTok, because you can't delete your account. You have to deactivate it, and it has to stay deactivated for 30 days.
So what we're saying is they could have
deleted.
Definitely gotten it back.
I hope she got it back.
I guess all I will say then about it is it doesn't change the fact that he bought it with the intent to destroy it. Even if it wasn't destroyed, that's still where his mindset was. So that's super unhealthy. I think in this situation, you know what's really toxic is he's like, no one's having her. Because if I break up with her, that means someone's getting with her. And I'm not going to have that. That's scary. What you are is a ticking time bomb. And as cute as you might think this all sounds, because he sounds very resigned to the fact that this is just who I am. She deals and she loves, and we respect each other for these polar opposite beliefs.
She forgives me for my faults.
Dude,
I forgive her for her independent streak. Ugh.
There's a lot of bad in that. I can understand people embracing each other for their differences. That's not a difference. That's a control problem that's going to wreak havoc on a lot of other aspects. I would just say, OP, you probably need to go get yourself into some type of counseling or therapy, because you got to start working on yourself. You can't control other people. So you're definitely the a-hole.
Well, the consensus is that he is definitely the a-hole. In fact, so many red flags throughout all of this. And let me just bring it to the first thing. His need to control because he is insecure. It is absolutely crazy how, yeah, you're right. He says that he loves her and she's mine, like an object. And that if he's not going to have her, that means he knows other people are going to have her, and he's not going to have that either.
It's really bad.
I can't tell you how far these comments went into that they are in a dating phase. And the way that he's talking about his girlfriend is as if she's a thing.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have where her response is, if you're going to have a problem with it, break up with me. And if you're not going to break up with me, then just leave me alone. And I personally have only ever heard of this from other women, that when they give this sort of response, it means that they have tried to break up with that other person.
Sure.
And have not been successful in trying to cut it off. So this could be her way of trying to get out of that relationship because she's tried and has been unsuccessful. I don't think she truly understands, if this is the case, how far deep this guy is. And this rings a lot of red flags to me of someone who would do what is considered a passionate crime.
If you're in that type of relationship, get out of it.
There was one commenter that said, just break up with her and don't ever date again.
Go get help. First, fix you. Fix your viewpoint on things because you don't own people like that.
Well, aside from the comment section saying he's completely unhinged and that they would like to see and hear this from the girlfriend's point of view, our poster deleted his post.
I bet he did.
So I hope that the girlfriend is okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because in the end, she's the one that has to deal with him, not all the Redditors. Well, let's go ahead and go on to our next story and have some cookies. Am I the a-hole for saying that I don't want an expensive tray stolen at a wedding? My boyfriend, 30 male, and I, 30 female, were invited to his friend's wedding. I've met the bride and groom a few times. He has known them for decades. There is a local tradition for each guest to bring a dozen cookies to the wedding. Then at the wedding, everybody's cookies are displayed together to make a cookie table. We wanted to participate, so we baked the cookies the night before. I have a very beautiful and expensive tea tray. Boyfriend suggested that I use it to display the cookies. I said, no, it's a 300-person wedding. I don't want some auntie accidentally taking it home with her. Boyfriend seemed fine with this. We found a simple bowl that was perfectly appropriate for the occasion and used that to display the cookies. After the wedding, as we were preparing to leave, I went to retrieve my bowl. Boyfriend told the newlyweds that I didn't want to use my tea tray because I thought one of their guests might steal it. I tried to backtrack by saying that I just didn't want it to get misplaced or damaged, but he called me out on lying. The newlyweds said something about everyone there being friends and family. It was very awkward and we left shortly. I am angry because I told him that in confidence and he should have known better than to repeat that to his friends, even though they were very close. Would you like to see her examples of the cookie table and the trays?
Oh, she shows us pictures?
She shows pictures about how it's supposed to look like, what she has, and what she got.
I love when people share pictures.
So that's the cookie table.
Oh, that's such a cool tradition. That is my poor growing up child image of what dinner table should look like.
Just cookies.
Just cookies.
This is the expensive tray.
Okay.
It's about $125. And this is the tray that they got.
Okay.
It's $4.
I can understand why. That's logical.
Am I the a-hole?
All right. Let's get into the smorgasbord of a story. I thank them for sharing the pictures because I love visuals. And that's really cool, that tradition. So, like, after the wedding, they get a full, table just full of cookies
that the guests made so that they can
That
have
is so freaking cool. So, let's start with all the facts. OP is 30. Boyfriend is 30.
That makes that simple.
Yes, you'd think it would, but it did not register in boyfriend's head. But she definitely does come at it from a logical point of view. Her expensive dinner tray is $120, and she doesn't want it to get stolen or misplaced or
broken.
I think more the steal part was just an overlay of going, look, I just don't want to lose it. I doubt she was sitting there going, I think that all of these people that are attending are thieves.
If anything, it probably was just a funny little thing that she said, not to be taken seriously.
But boyfriend had a different viewpoint. Obviously, he took that more like you're saying all of these people are thieves, which is kind of poo-poo. Especially if you were with someone, you'd ask to elaborate if that's how you were thinking. At least I would. If you said, hey, I think all your family's going to steal this stuff we bring, and go, why would you think that? That kind of sucks. But anyway, they proceed to go to the wedding. It sounds like it's a good time. They're doing their traditions. They got all the things out. And then at the reception is what we're saying it's happening right now.
Correct.
He goes up to his friends with her.
They're about to leave.
He tells them that they didn't use her special dish because she was afraid of someone at the wedding stealing something. And then when she tries to handle it with grace, because she could have just called him out. There are many people that have done that. She tries to sidestep it and give valid reasons. I don't want it misplaced.
Or damaged.
There's a whole litany of things that could have been logical. But then boyfriend puts his foot down because clearly it bothered him. And then doubles down into it and says, no, it was because you were afraid someone was going to steal it. That's not okay. But in your 30s, no, absolutely not. It's almost like your boyfriend wanted the smoke and then he wanted to start something with you. because there's no logical reason for that to have gone past that point. So I would take this as a red flag, and I wonder what other things you've dealt with in your relationship that he's pushed past boundaries on, because that seems like a big one. Ousting you in front of friends. That's normally reserved for couples who are almost on the way out.
Oh, yes. I agree with that.
So I feel bad for you, OP. I would take a second and really digest if this is what you want for your life going forward. Because if he's doing this here, I wonder what he's done in other aspects that made it acceptable for him to dog you in front of people at a wedding in public. So you're definitely not the a-hole.
Well, the consensus is that she's not the a-hole. In fact, a lot of commenters were like, what is this guy's problem? What was he trying to accomplish here? He threw you under the bus for something that you guys spoke about in private, as if he was the one that was being insulted. But rather than bringing it up to you, he decides to bring it up on this couple's wedding day, which is weird.
That's so bad.
So yes, I think this really baffled a lot of our commenters on why this would even happen for the boyfriend, unless you're right, he's trying to go on his way out, or
like I said, it just sounds like he wanted the smoke that day.
There's no updates, unfortunately, no comments, nothing that I can provide that's of extra information.
I hope she got to see it and read it though.
I hope she did too, and maybe just to give her a little perspective, if anything, this is something that they seriously need to talk about, because if he's fine with dogging her at this event or anywhere, then clearly there's a line of respect that he just doesn't have for her.
What is he doing in private with her? That's where I'm like, man, if that's how you treat each other in public, what's it like at home? No, thank you. Gotta have respect.
Well, that relationship seemed a little weird in front of friends. Let's see about this other group of friends, shall we? For our next story. Am I the a-hole for making a joke when my friend told me she was pregnant? My friend Alice, fake name, 32 female, and her husband have been trying for a baby for about 3 years. I, 29 female, am child-free, but this has never caused a problem in my relationship with Alice. We would often joke about this difference, with me telling her stuff like she'll miss all the disposable income when she has kids, and her comparing my dog to a human kid. Neither of us got offended with this joking, and it was all in good fun. On Friday, Alice, a couple other friends, and I went to lunch, and Alice told us that she was 3 months pregnant. I jokingly said, "I'm so sorry. Let me know if you need a ride to the clinic." Alice flipped out and called me an insensitive bitch. I told her that I was joking, but she wouldn't hear it, and she ended up leaving. She hasn't responded to my texts and calls ever since. Our other friends are staying out of it and don't want to give their opinions. I understand that my comment would come off as rude if I said it to a stranger, but Alice knows me, and this was how we joke with each other. Am I the a-hole?
Interesting story. Okay, so let's go on this journey. OP is 29 and childless, and this is how she prefers it.
Correct.
She said it, and you're okay to live the way you want to. She has a friend who is 32 and has wanted to become pregnant and has wanted children.
For the last 3 years have been trying.
Okay, so she knows the struggle that her friend's been going through. Her friend gets pregnant and has amazing news and wants to tell everyone. And she waited, because this is 3 months in. So you can tell where her mentality is in this moment, going, look, I want to make sure that, because I know a lot of people do that. They don't, especially if you've dealt with miscarriages and other unfortunate happenings, you want to make sure that before you announce anything that it's going to happen. So she waits. She tells him 3 months in. Congratulations, by the way. That's fantastic.
Congratulations.
Now, she knows that her friend's gone through this struggle. And the very first thing that comes out of her mouth upon the announcement of this amazing news is, "I'm so sorry. Do you need me to drive you to the clinic?" Now, we do need to frame it though. She's shown us how they joke with each other. So she does, our OP's friend, understand how OP likes to joke and what their humor is together. Now, just because someone gets your humor and knows how you are does not give you the right to say whatever thing comes into your head. That is not the time nor the place. You should have just been superly happy for your friend, because the last thing I'm certain anyone would have wanted to have heard, especially after a 3-year struggle, even if it's a joke, is, "Hey, why don't we go do that thing over there? Let me get you to the clinic." So you do need to read the room, and it sounds like she was not I believe you are the giant a-hole in this situation. You owe her an apology.
Well, the consensus is that she is the a-hole. And in fact, let me go ahead and read a commenter and see what you think of this. You're the a-hole. Not everything is a joke. She has tried for a baby for years, and you couldn't give her a moment of earnest support and congratulations? This is exactly like people who get up and give attention-sucking, allegedly funny best man or maid of honor speeches at weddings. Or, worse yet, stand up with a jokey joke, joking, not really objection. For your info, if she has struggled with infertility for 3 years and you didn't hear about this pregnancy until 3 months, she's likely had miscarriages or chemical pregnancies you didn't know about. Even if that's not the case, she has almost certainly spent the last couple months scared this pregnancy won't make it. Of all the jokes you could make, that one was the worst. Just to provide you, the OP actually answered in a comment and said, she has actually had a couple miscarriages. I didn't make that connection. Fuck. I get it now.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that the OP saw it, and I hope when she does get a chance to start mending that. I mean, at least we got that, though. They understand what they did was wrong. It sucks that it took this to show her, but
I think it really comes back down to there's a time and a place. I think as long as the OP sends a heartfelt apology, their relationship could easily mend.
Sure.
She just needs to understand that not everything should be taken with the context of consistency. Relationships aren't like that. You need to grow and know when is the right time to joke like that and when is not.
Yep. Again, at least she got to see her errors, and hopefully she'll get a chance to mend that fence with her friend.
Well, let's go on to our last story, and I left the best for last.
These
Let's
have all been
have
really
some
good.
cake.
I love cake, but I don't want the cake you're smiling about.
Let's have some cake.
No.
Come on, Timstradamus.
I don't want cake.
It'll be delicious.
I don't believe that.
For our last story, am I the a-hole for not eating cake that I knew I wouldn't like? To start off, a little background. I was diagnosed with autism a few months ago, but I've displayed traits of neurodivergency since I was a little kid. One of these traits was a major dislike of certain tastes and textures, as well as not always behaving accordingly in certain social situations. Not a lot of my extended family knows because I don't see them very often because they live towards the northeast of the country while I live down in the southeast. So now on with the story. I, 17 female, was at a family gathering with my extended family a few days ago. It was a big get-together with lots of different food and drinks. Around 5 p.m., a massive cake was brought out for everyone. It was a sponge cake topped with whipped cream and various fruits. I knew I wasn't going to eat any of the cake because whipped cream, strawberries, and raspberries, which were on the cake, are some of the foods that agitate my sensory issues. I said out loud that I wouldn't like any and began to walk away. My cousin called after me and said that she worked really hard on it, and it would be really disrespectful if I didn't even bother to try it. I tried to explain that I couldn't tolerate certain textures because of my autism. She said I was making up excuses and that I'm perfectly normal and just attention-seeking. I brushed her off and left the room and just chilled in the living room for a while. My mom took my cousin's side and said that what I did was selfish and that I was using my disorder as a get-out-of-jail-free card. I went nonverbal until the next morning, and then that afternoon we drove home, where my mom grounded me for 2 days for how I treated my cousin. So, am I the a-hole? Did I deserve my punishment? Am I the a-hole? Edit, just to clarify a few things. When I say I spoke out loud, it wasn't like I yelled and then stormed off. I saw the cake and said to myself, oh, I don't want any. But it was a little louder than when I usually talk to myself, and my cousin must have overheard. 2, I didn't see the cake until it had been in the room for maybe 10 minutes. This is because the cake was set on a table in the corner of the room, and people were crowded around it taking slices. When I got a chance to take a piece, I realized I didn't want any. 3, I didn't get up from a table and storm out of the room. We were all standing around the room and eating off paper plates. When I realized I didn't want any cake, I just set the paper plate down, casually turned away, and walked out of the room. Also, thank you to the people who informed me on the difference between being nonverbal and having selective mutism. I usually become unable to speak when I'm stressed, angry, embarrassed, or upset, and it takes a while for my voice to come back, and I know now that it's called selective mutism. Am I the a-hole?
Okay. This one's an interesting situation. So OP is 17. She's attending a get-together with her family, and her cousin made a sponge cake of some sort.
With whipped cream and fruits on it.
And it's covered with everything that is a sensory overload type of trigger for her. And she understands that. So that's really amazing at 17 that she understands some of the things that are catalysts. She tries to avoid them like any rational person would do. So they're eating casually in the kitchen. She says that they're all having plates in their hand, kind of stand-up situation, it sounds like. The cake comes out, and as everyone's waiting to get a slice, she sees all those toppings and what it's made out of and understands that that's not something she wants to deal with. Puts the plate down, turns, and leaves.
She says, "Oh, I don't want any."
Under her breath, maybe?
She said a little louder than what she would normally talk.
Okay, and she says it out loud then.
Correct.
That doesn't want that cake.
Oh, I don't want it.
So I can see how a whole room of people hearing that, where that could hurt some people. But she puts down her plate and then proceeds to walk out of the room. But as she does so, the cousin that cooked it says, "Hey, look, try it." Now, was it right for her to have that slip up and say out loud that she doesn't want that? Probably not, just because that can be rude. So I can understand the feeling behind that. But as she's turning around, her cousin comes to her and says, "Hey, you'll like it. Have a piece. Try it, please." ROP tells her cousin that for the reasons she's already stated, those things are triggers for me, and I definitely don't want to have it. And then she tells her that she has autism, because I think she said she just got diagnosed with this, and the family does not know about all of this, for the most part.
Correct.
So I'm guessing the cousin wouldn't be aware yet, but cousin hears this and says, "You're just being an attention grabber." So that's pretty bad. Sidestepped all of those reasonings, those logical sound reasonings, just to tell OP to eat the cake. At that point, I guess OP just turns around and walks out into the living room. And then she says understands it's not nonverbal, it was
selective mutism.
Selective mutism.
Surprisingly, a lot of people get this. Rather than become a person who becomes very verbal and just spews garbage from their mouth, it's like so many emotions just come up, and it stops you like a plug in your throat from even talking.
That's very interesting. But that's what happened to our OP. So she says she goes the entire rest of the evening not talking to them. And then following morning, they get up and proceed to head home, I guess.
Correct. Sounds like they probably live pretty far away.
And then her mom proceeds to ground her for 2 days. But see, her mom also got in on this and agreed with the cousin.
Correct. Said that she was using her disorder.
That's bad. I understand that maybe they're not knowing anything about this, because it sounds like this family is not exposed to anything. And they're one of those people that says, well, we all have problems, deal with it. It kind of sounds like that's the room. I don't believe our OP is the a-hole. I think that maybe saying the comment about not wanting it at the very first glance out loud probably wasn't great.
Well, let me go ahead and provide you with consensus. So the consensus on this is that she's the a-hole.
Okay.
And it really is for that comment. It's just seen as just a rude comment, which is the catalyst of everything that happened. Now, let me just go ahead and put out there that there are a lot of people that advocate that she's not the a-hole, and that you shouldn't be forced to feel bad or guilty for not wanting to eat something.
Yeah.
Now comes the real argument. What are your thoughts, Timstradamus, on white lies?
Interesting. I guess I'll define it like this. I am okay with white lies because a lot of the time when we do participate in them, it's normally to do it out of courtesy. So in this situation, if I didn't like that cake, I would still probably eat some of the cake because I'm not here to make people feel bad about their cooking. I guess it will also depend on the relationship I have with the person. I don't participate in white lies with Voyse
I prefer all the truth.
We ask the honesty and we give it respectfully.
Yes.
There's a difference of going about it. You don't go around going, I told you the truth because this is the way I want it. Like,
does this dress look good on me, honey?
Yeah.
No, it looks fattening on you.
Yeah,
Like, that
we
doesn't
don't
happen
participate
like
in
that.
that stuff. You can talk to each other rationally, but be honest. But it would depend on the relationship I have with someone.
So now let me push on the norm, because this whole thread pushed on the norm.
Okay.
Why is it that we're okay with these social complexities where it's okay for you to white lie in some areas, but when somebody's being truthful, they get in trouble for it?
I think it's because of the way I just stated it. The social norm is that you don't tell the truth when you're not that close with someone.
So in this whole thread, they talked about the social norms. And when somebody says that they don't like something, that it's just not something that they enjoy, why is it that they should change what they say to try and make the other party happy? A lot of people couldn't understand that they would be beholden for this 17-year-old to feel bad because she knows she doesn't like a certain food. It'd be no different than if we were in a household where somebody was cooking fish, Timstradamus, and you hate fish. But if you told that person that you don't like fish in however which way they want to serve it to you, whether they don't cook it so you don't smell it and you eat it as sushi, or whether they cook it and you smell it but it tastes amazing but you still don't like it, in any way, shape, or form, you shouldn't have to be beholden to a white lie to make somebody feel good.
Sure.
When it doesn't have anything to do about their cooking.
I think that mostly has to do with our upbringing, because we've had that situation where our son may not like a certain food or the way something tasted that we cooked, but I don't take it as an affront to my cooking. I just go, well, that's not his taste. That's the end of that. I would definitely not behold someone to the white lie. So I guess it does depend on your reaction to it, because if you don't like the truth, you're definitely going to have that type of reaction to when you do get it and it doesn't fit your preconceived notion as to what it should be, right? Just because you cook it doesn't mean everyone's going to like it, but you should understand that as an adult, that's what you're going to get sometimes.
Now, there have been some you're the a-hole commenters who actually say that they suffer from autism and that through their learnings, they've had to learn probably a much longer form that it is not okay for them to speak their mind. That being an a-hole in general by speaking your mind is not the best way to go about life. It can be insulting. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people and what is considered social norms exist.
So can I ask this real quick though?
Yes.
She's 17. She just got diagnosed with this. She's
Correct.
learning what it is to have autism and everything.
Exactly.
So why are we punishing her if she's just learning about that she has this? Why are we going out of our way to punish her if she's not known she's had this and how to deal with it? Because it sounds like she's already taking proactive steps to learning what it is are her triggers. Mm-hmm. So why are we so upset that she said that in the moment if it's something she truly couldn't have helped because she's still learning what it is to have autism and what it does to her?
Well, I don't believe that she is the a-hole personally. I would just like to set that out there. However, a lot of the people that did put the you're the a-hole tag, I believe they sort of put it down more as just a learning phase. That
Sure.
she's young.
That's
and
what I'm
that
trying
this
to
is
say.
the reason why, if she didn't think, if we put, I guess you say, the tag of not the a-hole on here, then she wouldn't learn that this social cue of just speaking your mind in that one instance without truly thinking about what you're going to say is not the best course of action.
Okay.
In this case, I understand the tag that was put. I understand the perspectives of you're the a-hole when it comes to this girl. She's young. She does have autism. She has to work through it. But if she's not being told that something that she's done is wrong, how will she ever correct it
And
if we're giving her a pass?
Can understand that this is a teachable moment that Reddit is trying to give her. But I hope they also told her that the way her mom and her cousin went about it was heinous.
Yes. And a lot of people actually did put that in there. And that was something I was going to bring up.
Okay.
Now, how her cousin and her mother took that is atrocious.
Yes.
And they are awful, awful people. Ableist to an extreme, to saying that your disorder was an excuse. The fact that her mom could not stand up for her daughter and explain the situation appropriately because her daughter is still trying to work through these things. And I see her, she's a baby. She's still learning.
Yep.
And she needs her mom to hold her ground when it comes to somebody that's trying to almost back her into a corner. This brings out a lot of the mama bear in me where, yes, was something done wrong? Of course. Is this a good learning place? Yes.
Yep.
As her mom, she should have apologized. I'm so sorry. My daughter said something that's rude. She's got this and this happening. So we ask that you try and be understanding and patient with her. And then it would be a time for her mom to pull her to the side and say, look, that's not the best way to have handled that. This is what I suggest next time.
I can see where Reddit's saying that this is just a good teachable moment for our 17-year-old OP. But I'm happy that they were able to let her know that that's not appropriate the way her family reacted to her. I hope that the 17-year-old goes to their mother and talks to them about this stuff that they've learned here and get everyone rolling in the right direction, because it does take a little bit of understanding and kindness on both sides to meet in the middle. Was that the last one?
Yes.
Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We are regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
As always, listeners, I'll leave you with the question I always do. What are the weekend plans?
We are going to enjoy a murder mystery escape room with our son. Yay!
Voyse loves escape rooms, and at every corner, no matter where we go, we'll find them.
My goal, my lifetime goal, is to go to an escape room in every single state and hopefully in another country.
That is really her goal, and we're going to make it happen.
Yes.
And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.